and welcome to the Stuck on Self-Love podcast. My name is Tazeen Sheikh, and I'm a writer, self-love, and mental health advocate, and STUK Designs blog manager. Along with 5 other young women from around the world, I run a successful nonprofit for girls and a clothing brand. At STUK Designs, we believe in self-love first, because self-love is the dawn that marks the beginning of all the different kinds of loves, and because it undoubtedly sustains success. This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who persevere and excel in life while bathing in abundant self-love. So if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place, because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow, your mind grow, and keeps you lit. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in. Hey beautiful people, we at STUK Designs have begun our crowdfunding campaign with iFund Women supported by Caress. We are raising money for expanding our programs, manufacturing art kits, setting up our studio that will be a space to empower women and girls through art and self-love, and a lot of other work that we have planned. We would love your help in our mission to provide girls in underserved communities art education and help them recognize and utilize the power of self-love. Visit our website www.stukdesigns.org for a link to our campaign. Hello, STUK community, and welcome to another episode of the Stuck on Self-Love podcast. As you know, I'm Tazeen, your host, and today we have a very special guest, the founder of STUK Designs, Brette Sims. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a little round of applause. Brette, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you? Where I am in the world, guys, it's morning. It's about 10 a.m. And for you, it's 10 p.m., right?
Right, 10:30 p.m. for me.
Yes. Different parts of the world. She's in Mumbai, I'm in California.
So, Brette, today's day is about you. We're talking all about you, your story, your journey, and obviously your wonderful organization, STUK Designs. All right. So let's start from the beginning. How was STUK Designs founded? Tell us the origin story of this amazing organization.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story. Me and a now STUK affiliate, her name is Stacy, and we do Fempreneur Fridays together on STUK. But she was my college roommate, and that's how STUK kind of started to form, because it formed in our dorm living room. Like, we would just have conversations about life and growth and journey and all that. And one day we were just having a conversation that we wanted to kind of create a community for women who don't necessarily have that community or that tribe, because we thought about it in the context of we were both in very toxic relationships at the time, and we wanted some kind of outlet to just not make us consistently obsess over these relationships or feel like they are the end all be all of life or anything. So we were looking for an outlet, and we wanted to build a community, who can, come together, and a like-minded community who can come together and just uplift each other, and women supporting women and all that. So while sitting in the living room, we were thinking about what do we call this? What is this name? What can we be called? And we were literally stuck on the name. And so then Stacey was like, well, what about STUK? And then I was like, well, what if we spell it as an acronym, STUK, and then use it as strong, talented, united, and knowledgeable. And so it kind of evolved in that way. And, Stacey ended up becoming an author and kind of creating her own community of women in that way. But yeah, it's been through many phases. It started as a for-profit design firm in which we designed and illustrated for women. It was my vision to always transform it and transmute it into a 501c3 nonprofit. And I always knew that day would come, and those dots would connect, but I didn't realize it would be as soon as now, until I took my trip to Ghana. And I saw the disparity there. I saw the extreme need that there was for supplies. These girls literally had nothing, no phones, no art supplies, not even as little as a pencil sometimes. So yeah, it really just changed my life. And right after my trip to Ghana, I officially made STUK a 501c3 in 2019. And that's kind of around when you came aboard to Zine. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. And then we had to kind of like rebuild and reshape in a way, us functioning as a nonprofit instead of a like for-profit design firm. So we've been doing that for the last like 2 years or so. And I feel like we're finally in a place where we're, fully structured as a nonprofit, and we're really ready and excited to grow. We're doing a huge I Fund Women campaign soon. So that is kind of the paraphrased story of
Yep.
STUK.
Brilliant, brilliant. Can you now talk to us about the challenges that you faced in the early years of STUK Designs, both in terms of the aspects of starting a new business, as well as the effect that it had on your mental health?
Right. So in the beginning, it's like STUK has gone through so many different phases, but at the same time, it's like I always wanted it to be a company that evolves as I do and evolves as the women who work with it, work for it, have contributed to it do. So when I was like in college, I remember making, I first started making like t-shirts for STUK. This is self-love first. These are t-shirts.
Pretty.
But yeah, so we first started screen printing actually ourselves in college and learning how to use a screen printer, everything like that. So initially when starting to dive into STUK, it automatically like became kind of an outlet for me because like we'd spend late nights just like learning how to screen print, which is not easy. If you guys have ever tried it, it's really hard. So we'd be up at like all hours, screen printing in the studio. But it just kind of like, got our creative juices flowing. And it was just, it pulled me away from a really toxic relationship that I was in at the time. And it's like in my life, I feel like every time that I've been in kind of like one of these situations or one of these kind of relationships, STUK is always like a place that I can come back to and ground and like have a community of supportive women, or like just have a place, space, and platform to like speak out on, whatever I'm going through, and, to other women who actually get it. So I think though that in college, yeah, I definitely dealt with a lot of mental health issues. I feel like I was kind of dealing with anxiety and depression. Sometimes it was like off and on. But I think that it was like really heavy when I was like blocked artistically. And this is like before I kind of came up with the idea of STUK or anything like that. So in my kind of like early years in college, I really heavily faced it. And so I kind of had to navigate my way through it and find, tools to kind of pull myself out of it. Because my family just wasn't supportive in like the quote unquote, like in the mental health way. I feel like, and they wouldn't necessarily like listen to me, needing help in that way. So I kind of had to figure stuff out on my own. And I remember in a graphic design class that I was in, we were assigned books, and we were assigned to draw book covers, to like do different book cover designs. And the book that I was assigned was Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. And that book totally like changed my like perspective, mindset, and everything. Her book it's totally about, just coming through a toxic kind of like emotionally abusive relationship, and just, going off on her own and finding herself. And so it just really opened my eyes, and it's like, oh, like other people go through this too. Other women are going through this too, other women have felt at these lows or these highs, like as I have. And so yeah, so just the way that she navigated through it with like writing and with like travel and with like meeting new people and meeting new women and expanding her own community was really just like a great example and an inspiring one of like how I could do the same, So yeah, I feel like in the early days that kind of, that book really helped me, which led me to like another book, which led me to like, it was Eckhart Tolle's book, and it's New Earth. That was like the second kind of quote unquote conscious book that I read. And in college, I felt like those kind of woke me up, and then also just like had me, made my vision clear of what I wanted to do with STUK, and like, where I wanted to kind of take it. but yeah, I think that STUK has definitely saved me in so many ways, just like from complete like mental health breakdown or complete mental health crisis, because it's like when I'm like freaking out or I don't know what to do next, it's like, oh, well, why don't I just like write a blog piece and let it all out on
Mm-hmm.
like this platform, or like let me just create some art that has a message, and like let me get it out and speak to people that way. So I think it's just like a huge outlet for expression for myself. And I mean, I'm always shocked when it does touch other women, and so thankful for it. But yeah, I feel like it's healing for myself, but it's also healing for other women. So yeah.
Definitely. You have definitely managed to create a safe space for everybody and not just for yourself. And we're so grateful for that. Since we're talking about the challenges that you've faced, let's talk about any failures that you have experienced in your
Yeah.
entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to think of like, I'll try to think of like the biggest example.
Hmm.
So I think that it was kind of like after college, I went like super hard with STUK, like, at that time I made it an LLC, and it was kind of like I had a few people on my team, like my web design girl and my photographer, and then one other friend, Courtney, who supported me from the beginning, but she was kind of like just like another team member just supporting. But it was just in its very early stages and very early days. And I don't know if you guys know like Word Press at all, but
Yep,
these were
yep.
the days before there was Squarespace or anything like that. So posting blogs and everything, it was like we were doing a great job, but it was like so much work and so much editing and like HTML and just like,
Hmm.
just doing, a lot of designing. And we really like hit the ground running, and we like interviewed so many women, and we like, just were like, going at a really fast pace. But it was like such a fast pace that I feel like it burnt me out, after a while.
Hmm.
Just because I didn't have as big of like I didn't really have a cohesively structured team in a way. And I didn't, and for a while it was kind of like me just doing everything on my own. And that just like led to I was just so stressed out at a certain point. And it seems like in my life, I've had, I've had a few very positive relationships, but I've also had a lot of like toxic ones. And I feel like the
Hmm.
combination of like toxic relationship with like trying to piece together your company is
Hmm.
just like, a recipe for disaster sometimes. And
True.
um, yes. And so after a while, I felt like I literally just like burnt out. I had like I guess kind of like a anxiety kind of breakdown.
Hmm.
I was just so overwhelmed. I was like, I need to stop. And at that point, I didn't know if I would honestly like continue with STUK. I kind of just like stopped it because I felt like I was just doing art for, the money of it. I felt like I was just rushing, rushing, rushing and hustling and hustling. And
Hmm.
it just wasn't fun for me after a while. So I needed to pull back and realize like my why and why I started it and why it's important to me. And just like I needed to give myself more self-love and fill up my own cup before I could, come back to it and fill others up again. So yeah, I took a break, and I traveled, like I traveled to a lot of places in the world. I traveled to Europe. I traveled to a bunch of different countries. I just created and I was really blessed because just at the time I was able to like watch my sister. I was like her nanny for a while, so I had a really flexible schedule. I was it was a job kind of, but
Hmm.
like
Right.
I was able to just like kind of build my art career the way that I wanted without stressing about like when my next paycheck is going to come or whatever. So I used about like 2 years to just like kind of detach and just like build up art and build back up my self-love and build up like my passion again for STUK. So in 2017, I kind of relaunched it. And then with a new vision, and I was like kind of I managed to heal a lot of like the depression and anxiety that I just felt from just that burnout, and I was able to move it forward in a new way and with a new perspective. And that's when, it kind of went in the way of a nonprofit. So yeah, it's interesting. It was kind of like many little failures, I guess. Like I
Right.
think, yeah. And I think, the biggest thing is like when you're doing like a big project like this, or you have a big vision or whatever, like the key is, to definitely not give up. But I do think that breaks are okay. I do think redirection is okay. I do think that like taking space and time for yourself to heal is like really important, because I don't think that I would have been able to push it, in the direction that it is now if I didn't like take that time to step back and be like, okay, like something really isn't right with me. And like, how do I fix that? How do I heal with it? And how do I like, learn how to love myself again, and to learn how to love my company again. And also, how do I learn to put less stress on myself? So this
Exactly. So
time around,
important.
yeah, exactly. So this time around, like I created a cohesive team, and it just started working out, and things started aligning once I aligned myself. And like you found our platform, Madeline found our platform, like just women kind of gravitated towards STUK and towards me, like once I kind of healed and aligned more and was very clear on what my ultimate vision was and what my why was. So yeah.
True, true. You were like the main character of your own little Eat, Pray, Love novel. You got that.
I know, it's like, oh my God, I have so many other stories. One day I'll tell all the
we
relationship stories and details, but
we need
yeah.
a detailed episode of that, like just that.
Yes, yeah.
So, since we are talking about your mental health struggles and you spoke about your depression, you spoke about your anxiety, let us dive a little deeper into the story of your mental illness and the struggles. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I feel like I never I don't know, I was just always in the place of like not really wanting to ever go on medication or anything for
Right,
like that
right.
for a while.
Mhm.
But that was also a lot because of the stigma attached to it, and also just the stigma I feel like that my own family attached to it and attached to mental health. And I felt like for so long I like literally couldn't talk about it, so it's just like all within me. And yeah, my family really to this day doesn't understand it. Like they I don't know, I feel like they think anyone who has any kind of mental health issue is like
Mhm.
crazy, or like just doesn't
Oh,
know what they're doing, or
right,
can't
right,
really
right.
make money, or it's just like embarrassing, or this or that. So like
Of
I've
course.
definitely had a lot of like bad like arguments and fights with like my family over that, and just kind of like navigating my way through that. Like I've been called crazy and this and that and all the
Of
above.
course. Yep, yep, yep.
But it's just like after a while and growing, I had to be like, enough is enough. And like I needed to create like boundaries from like my family and like that disrespect level. And then I just needed to like stand up for really what was best for me and my life and my healing. And so like at the time when my depression, or not, it was more like anxiety, because I
Mhm.
learned that I had like, I forget what it's called at this point, but it's just like a very like severe kind of, anxiety. And I just, probably had it all my life, but it was just
Mhm.
never really like,
It
you
never
know,
surfaced, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it didn't surface till much later, but I feel like it might have, and it kind of
True.
did in my childhood. But
Mhm.
like, I mean, I think my parents did as best as they could at the time, but like I think they definitely could have, had they been more aware, seen it in me as a
Mhm.
child. And like, I think it could have been addressed earlier. That's why
Exactly.
I always am about like girls learning self-love early, and girls handling these things early, and like, learning these things at a young age, so that it gets in their systems, like positive self-talk, and within their mental systems at a young age.
Mhm.
And because that's much easier to learn younger than older, than when like you have
Definitely.
all these negative like opinions and words and
Oh,
experiences in your
true,
head
true.
to navigate through. Um so yeah. that's that's kind of like, yeah, that was kind of my journey with that. I think that yeah, it was definitely hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was extremely hard to navigate my way through. But like, art and nonprofit work, the combination of the two, I think definitely healed my depression. But I think that like it's individual to anyone, like what can pull you out of like anxiety or depression,
Exactly.
or if you do need medication or if you do not, and there shouldn't be judgment or stigma either way, because it's just like your own individual healing process. And really that's no one's concern or business to comment upon. Like it's
True.
your choice, and you have to like stand up in your own personal authority and be like, okay, you know, I don't feel right in these ways. Like how can I heal this, and what is best for me? And I think I had to meditate on that a while. And ultimately, like, yeah, when I was really, really going through it, I did end up going on like anxiety meds to kind of navigate through and calm me down. And it really did help me refocus, help me get reorganized at the time. So yeah, it was part of my healing process. And I will say that, you know, I had to do so much like work and rebuilding after it, because even when you take like anxiety meds or whatever you do, like it's not any kind of like quick, easy fix. It's not like a magic wand
Exactly.
change your life.
Yes.
It's like you have to do the work. So, you know, every day I would kind of like feel more myself and be able to like meditate again, be able to do yoga again, be able to like, you know, feel okay being social again. And, you know, just building on these things and building my spiritual kind of routines back after I felt better. Definitely, yeah, transformed my life. And I feel like one day I was just like, okay, like, wow, like I feel fine. I feel better finally. Like I feel like myself again. I feel like I feel strong in who I am again. And that's a really good feeling and space to get to, but it takes like little increments of like work and little things each day, I feel like, to, you know, get to a real place of like healing and complete
Exactly.
self-love.
Definitely, because you had to navigate through all of this on your own because you were lonely in your journey. You did not have the support from your family or from your friends or
Right.
anything like that. So now you've created such a platform that is helping other women, you know, through the blog and through the podcast and through your art, that is helping women not be lonely the way you were, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
these days, like even now, what do you do specifically on days when you're struggling with your, you know, mental health, and how do you just in general nurture
Yeah.
your mental well-being?
Right. So these days, yeah, I do have like, I don't really have that many like, you know, bad days or days that I don't feel like getting out of bed or stuff like that. But you know, it's because I've come to a space of like really just like owning who I am authentically and being like, you know, and leaving like toxic jobs or like, you know, 9 to 5s that I felt like I was mistreated at. I've had like, you know, racist jobs, I've had sexist jobs, I've, you know, but like ultimately making the decision to like walk away from that kind of world and really put my faith and trust in, you know, my businesses. Like I have my an art business, and then I have my nonprofit. So putting like my faith in those things, and then also just like doing, I call them like spiritual non-negotiables. So like in the morning I'll like meditate, I'll do my affirmations, I will do yoga, but you know, first and foremost, like I'll just like I meditate before I do anything in the day, before I dive into my work or anything like that, because I think it's like definitely it's protection. It protects your self-love. It protects like your just your energy before walking into the world. And the world is pretty crazy right now. Like, every day I basically do my spiritual non-negotiables. And yes, that is meditating, that is yoga, that is writing. I definitely do like writing little, even if it's a little tiny, just like one pager thing. I think like brain dumping in the morning is really important. And so I like to do that, affirmations, you know, if I have time. But yeah, just some of these things I need to like, you know, weave into my mornings before I start my day, before I step into the world, before I start into like reading emails and going through like all the work stuff I have to go through, meetings or whatever. I just make sure that I am feeling aligned and centered. But yeah, that's kind of like what my routine is. And you know, when I started learning to consistently do these things and consistently do this routine, then yeah, I have had better days. I will say, like, I don't feel so low, but that's also just like owning my power and pulling myself out of like, you know, just like the quote unquote, like the corporate world or the capitalistic society kind of, and really just like kind of taking my own path. And so it's a combination of a lot of things, but I do feel better in that when I do those things daily. And I recommend that everyone, especially like right now in the just like the uncertainty that is the world. I think meditation first thing is so important. And I've been talking to a lot of my friends, and they've also been doing it lately. So yeah.
Definitely, these are some useful tips for anyone who's struggling. And because here's the thing, working to heal your mental health is not going to be easy. It is a tough, tough road, but it is definitely worth it. It is important and it is worth it. Now, how many years has it been since you founded STUK Designs? You said you were in college, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, yes. Yeah, go
after
ahead.
after all these years, how do you still stay focused
Right.
on the purpose of STUK Designs? Because it's so easy to fall out of line.
Right. And it's been through so many different phases too, and it's definitely grown and evolved as I have. But
Of course.
yeah, like I guess technically it was my senior thesis project, so that's why I say
Mhm.
it started in college. But it was just like the loose kind of like bare bone concept of what I ultimately wanted it to be then. And I
Right.
was kind of still discovering what that was. So it more so just started like as a clothing brand that was supposed to kind of like uplift women of color
Mhm.
through art on clothing. And that's what I started kind of working on like directly after college. But then I always say it officially started in 2017, because that's when I really like relaunched the vision, reorganized it, and like had the clear vision of it ultimately becoming a nonprofit. But before then, like years before then, that's when I started like illustrating, and I was like doing all
Mhm.
of these like that's why we have so much art because like before I felt like it actually became an official company. I was doing art for it, kind of like not really knowing why, or not really knowing like how it would
Just
fit
going
in.
for it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, even in the beginning it was actually just illustrations of women's faces, like in the STUK style, kind of black and white style.
Mhm.
And then it was a friend of mine who did a photo shoot for me, who was like, yeah, you should attach these positive affirmations to like all the artwork, to all the pieces. And I was like, I never thought about that.
Great idea.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea. So I started to do that. And, in attaching affirmations to all of them, it helps with the healing of mental health process and everything. So, I think it's just, yeah, it just became, it evolved slowly. Like, it had many pieces, and I always
Right.
call it like connecting the dots. And there were so many different dots that I had to like connect, because I did start like interested and passionate about clothing brand, but then I also had the art, and then it was just like, well, how am I going to put
Right.
all these pieces together? And then
Uh-huh.
then I'm like philanthropic, but then I care about mental, so it was like, so it was very confusing for a while, and for many years of my life I was just like, I don't really know where this is ultimately going to go, but I know that it's important. And I always had that in my
Mhm.
head. Like I know it for a fact that it is my calling. I know it is my higher calling to do. I know like that I am meant to lead, and I know that it is like a higher calling for me to lead women in this time. So like this future time, who knows when, was always in my head, when it would all come together. But I definitely feel like that time is now. So yeah.
Most definitely. Now, Brett, you have so much going on in your life. Okay. There is your
Yeah.
personal work that you do
Yeah.
for a living, then you're running a full-time organization, a
Yeah.
nonprofit. How do you do it all? Just how do you do it?
Right. So yes, I am a woman with two brands, or two companies. So my other one, I kind of like coin Art by Brette, but that's just my personal art brand, where I sell pieces, I do shows. It's my high end art collection, essentially. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, navigating the two, and like developing the two over the years has definitely not been easy. And along the way, I've had many, many, many different jobs. Like I probably can't even count at this point.
Wow.
But like, just like to sustain, really, like, because that was my focus. It was just kind of to keep STUK going and to sustain it over the years,
Mhm.
and to like have something to put into it, like financially, when it didn't. So definitely navigating how I'm going to, like build up and sustain
Mhm.
these two companies was for sure a journey. Like and in college I was always like I did work study, and I would like work desk jobs, but these desk jobs
Mhm.
helped me like At the same time, I'd be like working a desk job, but building my websites, or like working a desk job and like, doing my work for STUK really, because not much is entailed in desk jobs. So I did that for a while here and there. But yeah, it was always just about keeping the nonprofit going, keeping like my own art sustainable, and just like, I don't know, I feel like being an artist and having like an art brand, it's really just, it's about your lifestyle and like who you are. It kind of like signifies, who's going to buy your art, or what people are going to read into about your art, or like why people want to buy your art. So I kind of had to, like I said, with STUK, evolve my art brand as I evolved. And it was hard to kind of build it up and make it a cohesive brand that really made sense. Cause like, what is my style? What do I really want to say? What is this really going to be about? But about the same time as like STUK kind of relaunched into a nonprofit, I really got just focused with my own personal art brand. And I was like, okay, let's actually just call this as a whole Art by Brette. I had a lot of different collections at the time. So I was like, how do I make this make sense? So I called it Art by Brette. And then like my vision had changed at that time. It's just, I finally started kind of painting in color more. And I started doing a lot more floral images. But really like the point is that it ties back to growth, and it ties back to my personal growth as a woman, and like as an artist, and just like as a business owner, and just like my mental health journey. And so like I view flowers as symbolic as like growth, and nature symbolic as just like the natural flow and the natural order of things. And like so there's just like those aspects of it that I kind of created and made into finally a cohesive brand. But yeah, doing all this was in no way easy, and I'm not going to say that it's like never easy for anyone, because I think that like ultimately, like, say if I have a daughter one day, like I will have paved a much easier path and easier way for her. So,
Definitely.
like I think it can be easier for people, but because it was so hard for me, it's like my passion to make it easier for other girls and other women.
Definitely. Since we're talking about your personal work, let's dive a little into your personal life, your personal relationships. At the same time as managing all of this, all your career goals and running this nonprofit and just making things happen. How are you balancing it with your personal life, your relationships, family, friends, anything?
Yeah. And that's been super strange, like with COVID also. Because, yeah, usually like I'm usually dating someone, even if it's not like, quote unquote, like official or serious or whatever. And then I always have like, I have multiple like groups of friends who I refer to as family. They're like my family. And so it was weird, when COVID started and everything, just like not being able to see that group of people so often, because I do consider them family, and I do like rely on them a lot too, which I kind of realized, as COVID went on. But just like I do really rely on them for like uplifting, and just like I think they're my family, that I was just kind of blessed by the universe with, not my birth family. Because
True.
and I think that that's so special and profound, because like, and the older I get, I realize how rare it is, just because like I'm so lucky to have this other group of people like who actually do get it, and who don't judge me, and who like actually do believe in me, and who have also been through mental health like issues or situations or circumstances. And most of them are also like creatives or just passionate people who love art, and are just very like free spirited. So
Right.
they definitely like sustain me and keep me grounded.
Definitely. It is so good to see you happy and once again in a headspace where you want to be. So that is
Yeah.
great. Love that for you. So now, lastly, we have now come towards the end of this wonderful interview. Do you have a message for your STUK community? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I think I do. It's just that, because due to these times, due to the uncertainty and everything, I would just like, to remind everyone of the importance of breathing, and to breathe, and just like remember to meditate before you jump into your work day, but like breathe and meditate and breathe throughout your day and meditate throughout your day, because like so much uncertainty is happening. You don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. You don't know how, like, you know, people are going to necessarily react to you in certain days. But when you start meditating, when you remember to breathe, it's like you create space within your own heart. You can give yourself grace. You can give your other people grace. And I just feel like when you do meditate and you're like breathing in, it's like you're going within and you're going within yourself, and you know, like self-love first, and that's our tagline, and that is important, because when you love yourself first, you know, that dictates all your other forms of love and your other relationships. And so it really starts within, and so you got to remember to tap in every day, because it's crazy out here, everyone.
Truly
It's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I love you. I love you all. And I love you too.
We love you too. Your team loves you. The community that you have built of these strong women, we all love you and we all love each other. And thank you for creating such a strong community and for such a powerful brand, such a powerful organization. And just thank you for this beautiful message. You are so hardworking. You're truly one of the most hardworking people that I know of. And oh my gosh, you're doing such an important job for this world. So thank you so much for that. And thank you to our audience for tuning in to this episode. Please subscribe to this podcast if you have not already, and leave a rating or review. And also share a screenshot of you listening to it on your stories and tag us, and definitely tell your friends and family about this. And that is it for today's episode. See you in the next one. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. You can visit our website, www.stukdesigns.org, to shop our merch, make donations, join our blogging team, or be a part of our affiliate program. See you in our next episode. Love and light from us to you.